In the Nepean by-election campaign, roads are becoming a key political issue. Libertarian candidate Peter Angelico has published a video online targeting Anthony Marsh's roads messaging, arguing the issue goes beyond potholes and speaks to a broader question of credibility, priorities, and leadership. In an interview with STPL News, Angelico says the problem is resonating because poor road conditions are already affecting local residents in real ways.
It's been bubbling around, and it's not just an issue here in Nepean, it's an issue right around the state. The potholes are just out of control. Victoria was always known as having the best roads in the country. I think we've now got the worst. One of the ladies I knocked on her door probably 2 weeks ago now. She was on the way to a school concert for her granddaughter and hit a pothole and actually broke a wishbone in the car. Couldn't get to the granddaughter's graduation or concert, whatever it was. And the granddaughter was in tears. The lady, I think Mrs. Thompson, her name was, she was beside herself, and she thought, this is Victoria in 2026. There's a real example of why that issue is probably resonating so much.
Angelico says scrutiny of Anthony Marsh's roads messaging is justified because, despite being on leave to contest the by-election, Marsh still remains the Mornington Peninsula Shire mayor.
It's probably more the blatant hypocrisy. You can't say on one hand, oh, look, aren't the roads terrible and Labor aren't doing a great job. Hang on, you're the mayor, mate. Don't sit there and, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. It's just blatant hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And if you're going to gaslight people, at least get your facts right.
Additionally, Angelico says when campaign messaging does not match the facts, it risks further eroding public trust in politics.
The public gets so frustrated, and then the public lose confidence in democracy. So I think, well, what's the point? We're going to get the same old crap every time an issue comes up and get lied to. So the public gets sick and tired of it. So they just throw their hands up in the air and think, well, why should we bother? But you have to. I mean, you can't, the world's run by those who show up, and you've got to be in there fighting, otherwise you lose.
When questioned about Marsh's roads messaging and broader claims, Angelico says politicians like Marsh need to be honest with voters and explain how they would actually fix the problem.
Yeah, again, just be honest with people. It's not that hard. You don't just, gaslight and lie to them and say, oh, yes, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. And then a week later, you've got to have the same conversation. They keep kicking the can down the road. It's just not on. And I couldn't do that in business. I just wouldn't survive. And you've got to come up with solutions as well. It's all well and good highlighting an issue, but then what's the solution? How do you fix it? And you don't hear that from any politician. And that's what people want to know. There might be a solution that might be long term, but as long as you can articulate that solution and have a viable way of going about that, people think, okay, that sounds feasible. I can live with that.
Looking beyond roads, Angelico says credibility and reputation matter. He argues that anyone seeking public office has a higher obligation to handle other people's money more responsibly.
All issues come and go, but credibility and reputation are so important. So I think that's, whether it's Anthony or any, and I've never actually met Anthony, so I wouldn't know him a bar of soap. It's just one of those things, like I said before, about compliance. You either do the right thing or you don't. You can't, sit on the fence. The only thing you get sitting on the fence is splinters. So you've got to just, you've got to do the right thing. At the end of the day, you're spending taxpayers' money, or ratepayers' money in that case. So, and there's actually a higher obligation to spend other people's money more wisely. If I waste my own money, well, it's my problem. But if I waste your money, and if I'm the custodian of your taxes, then that's a big problem.
When asked what the Libertarian alternative would be, Angelico says roads should remain a priority, but argues they should be funded without new taxes and through better use of existing money.
Not new taxes. So, sorry, go on.
And obviously how they're going to fund it.
How they're going to fund it. Well, again, funding it, there's plenty of money in the budget already. They just not using or not spending our money wisely. I keep coming back to that point time after time because they don't spend our money wisely. I think it was Kerry Packer said, we shouldn't be giving any more because they're not spending it that well. That still holds true today. That was 4 decades ago, that comment, and it still rings true today. So identifying waste in the budget, what are they spending on the not the voice of reconciliation, $400 million that would go a long way to fixing a lot of roads and fixing up a lot of hospitals. You know, you want to get rid of the waste in the major projects. There's plenty of ways that one of the problems with the major projects is the way those contracts are written. It's too easy for nefarious groups to exploit.
This is Jay Shikluna from STPL News. For more local news, including the Nepean by-election coverage, please visit stplnews.com.au.